All right, Em, we're going to make my version of like creamed spinach, except there's no cream and there's no there's no spinach in it. So what I have is an onion that I peeled. You can see it's a medium-sized onion, about the size of a baseball. A jalapeno pepper, totally jalapeno, totally optional. Some garlic and some goat cheese, which I'll explain. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to just take the onion and you want to dice it up, as we've talked about. You don't want it to be too big because the size you have the size that you're making right now is what you're going to be eating. So you think about that as you're cooking it up, or cutting it, or something. You understand what I'm saying? It's hot here. It's mid-September and it's still 85 outside. I'm going to keep cutting this. The other thing I've got is a pot. See this? I don't know. This is probably like a 5 or 6 quart pot. Use a pot that's big enough to hold the amount of greens that you're cooking. The size beyond that doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put a couple of glugs of olive oil in the pot. You know, basically enough to cover the bottom. We're going to let that sort of warm up, and I'm going to throw the onions in here and let them start to sizzle. Let's do the other half of the onion. I like onions. They're good for you. Remember, vertical cuts, then come back, go horizontally, and then just straight down. And this is one of those things, the more you do it, the easier it gets. So we'll do the rest of the onion here. Ooh, wow. That is one. There's one powerful onion there. All right, then some garlic. I think I have 5 cloves here. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the flat of your knife, bash it down every now and then. You get a breaker, like this one, ran away. Give him a rinse. Show him who's boss. Ha! That'll teach you to run away, garlic. Get that going. And then when you got this sort of all, you're using the flat of the blade here to mash it. Some people add salt at this phase. I never really understood that, but it clearly works. And then just come back and you're gonna, basically, the goal here is you don't want a big honking piece of garlic in your mouth while you're eating this. Once you start to hear that sizzle, if you can hear the pot sizzling, I just turn the heat down. I don't really want to brown the onions, I just want them to cook. And once the oil gets to temp, that happens and then it'll just cook fine. I'll scrape these in. All right, so I'm doing this with Swiss chard. And all I have done is taken off the bulk of the stem, washed it. I haven't even really bothered to dry it. And I'm just gonna cut it sort of into ribbons like this. It's really going to cook down. So you want it, small, but, and then how much of the stem you use is like up to you. Your mom likes them, I don't. So when I'm making this, which is usually, I'm not putting a lot of stem in it because I just don't find it that appetizing. So we're going to take this half of it and just put on a plate to the side. We'll take the other bunch that I bought at the market yesterday. And we're going to do the same thing. Now, this is chard. You can do this with kale. You want the cooking time is going to be a little longer because the kale leaves are a little more fibrous. You can do this with spinach, either fresh or frozen if you use spinach. Spinach has a lot of liquid in it. What you're going to want to do is you're essentially going to want to cook the spinach first. Just saute it in the same pan you're going to cook everything else in here. The goal here is I'm trying to help you with like one pan recipes. So put the spinach in the pan, cook it down until it's wilted, drain it. You'll be amazed at the amount of liquid that comes off of it. If you use frozen spinach, you basically want to thaw it and squeeze it. You can squeeze it using cheesecloth. You can squeeze it using these, the best cooking tools you have, your hands. Just squeeze it together till you get as much liquid out of it as you can. All right, Em, the onions are a little soft here. Let me see if I can move this so you can see. See how they're sort of changed color. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It's like they're a pale, sort of pinky white. That means they're where I want them to be. So now we're going to take this pot. This is all the chard we chopped, right? We're just going to put it in here. Everything in there. Don't forget the stragglers. You take this, put this back over the heat, and then what I'm going to do is put in a couple of glugs chicken broth. Two things. It'll help form the sauce when it's time to do that, but two, with the lid on it, it'll help steam the chard, which is what you're looking for here. I'm not going to just let this go. It'll probably take, I don't know, 10 minutes or so to cook down the way I want it. You want to stir it every now and then. That would be a good thing if you could. And we'll come back in a little bit. All right, Em, that's what it looks like when it's cooked. You can see there's liquid in there. Some of that's the chicken stock. Some of that is what's been thrown off by the chard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the next ingredient. Hang on one second. All right, so remember when I told you this was creamed spinach that doesn't have spinach and doesn't have cream in it? This is what you're going to use instead of cream. This is goat cheese. It's just the plain old goat cheese. I think I buy this at Costco. You can buy it at Trader Joe's. Your supermarket probably has it. Don't spend a lot of money buying hoity-toity goat cheese from the farmer's market for this. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and it's totally by eye and how much you want. I'm going to put this whole thing in here. This is your old friend, Mr. Jalapeno. Cut off the end, slice it down the middle. The heat is in this. Sort of the ribs and the seeds. The actual flesh is warm, but not nearly as warm as this. You can leave them in, you can take them out. The only thing I would remind you to do is if you play with one of these pups, wash your hands. I'm speaking from experience. Wash your hands when you're done. The oil that is on the inside is where the heat is, and it will get all over your hands, and it doesn't want to come off easily. And trust me, you touch your eyes, your nose. After playing with one of these things, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And all I'm going to do here is just sort of dice these up. Basically in, hey, get back in the line there, you twerp. Who do you think you are? Teenager? So that's what it looks like when it's done. You're looking at that thinking, gee, Dad, that's kind of soupy. And, you know, it is. It's a little soupy because we are going to have it served over baked potatoes. This is a russet potato. Remember, they grow outside, in the ground, in dirt. You want to scrub them, just rinse them under cold water, but you want to scrub the dirt off of them. I cook them in a 425 degree oven for about an hour. You're more civilized than we are. You probably have a microwave, which, as you know, is something that we've not had in our house for, I don't know, did we have one in Maine? I don't remember. We had one in Atlanta. Never used it, but we had one. Anyway, we don't have one here. But I'm going to roast these potatoes, 425 for about an hour, take them out, split them, and I'm just literally going to spoon this stuff, the not cream, not spinach, creamed spinach that we just made over the top, and it's going to be a lovely sort of meatless meal. If you're wondering what I'm doing with this, I'm going to put them in towards the end because I find that they lose some of their heat if they cook in this, and frankly, I want some heat, and I want to see if I can just scare the living daylights out of your sister. Anyway, I'll try and get this put together and posted in the next day or two. Love you. Enjoy. Bye.